God. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, very warm welcome to everybody for this morning's Chapayagna. Here we request everybody to put a pause to your chanting, and if there are a couple of rounds pending, you can do it post this wonderful section, which we go into the morning program, which is the sharing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so as always, a very short kirtan, and then we go into the class. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Gandharvika Giridhari Gaurahari Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Ananta Dev Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Ananta Dev Nitai Gaurahari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaurahari Bol Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Patith Pavan Gurudev ki jai. Hare Krishna. Again, thank the leaders for giving me this opportunity to purify myself. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Today we are still in the first canto, chapter 7, titled The Son of Drona Punished. We are going to discuss today the 12th verse. So someone can repeat after me if they are free.
Hare Krishna.
Parikshito tha rajarshi
Parikshitotha Rajarshe
Janma karma vilapanam
Janma Karma Vilapanam
Samsthana cha Panduputranam
Samstham cha Panduputranam
Vakshe Krishna Kathodayam.
Vakshe Krishna Kathodayam.
Thank you, Mataji. Word-to-word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Parikshita, the king Parikshit, Ata, thus Rajashre, the king who was the rishi amongst the kings. Janma, birth, karma, activities, vilapanam, deliverance, samastam, okay, renunciation in the world, cha, and Panduputrana, of the sons of Pandu, Vakshe, I shall speak, Krishna Katha, Udayam, that which gave rise to the transcendental narration of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation: Suta Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Saunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Krishna and the topics of his birth, activities, deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of renunciation of worldly order by the sons of Pandu. It's a short narration. I'll quickly purport. We'll quickly go through this. Kindly, Prabhujis and Matajis, please attentively hear this. Lord Krishna is so kind that to the fallen souls that he personally incarnates himself amongst the different kinds of living entities and takes part with the team in the daily activities. Any historical fact, old or new, which has a connection with the activities of the Lord is to be understood as transcendental narration of the Lord. Without Krishna, all supplementary literatures are like the Puranas and Mahabharatas are simply stories and historical facts. But with Krishna, they become transcendental, and when we hear of them, we at once become transcendently related to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a Purana, but the special significance of this Purana is that the activities of the Lord are central and not just supplementary historical facts. Srimad Bhagavatam is thus recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as spotless Purana. There is a class of intelligent devotees of Bhagavata Purana who desire to relish at once the activities of the Lord narrated in the 10th canto without first understanding the primary cantos. They are under the false impression that the other cantos are not concerned with Krishna, and thus more foolishly than intelligently they take to the reading of the 10th canto. These readers are specifically told herein that the other cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are as important as the 10th canto. No one should try to go into the matters of 10th canto without having thoroughly understood the purport of the other 9 cantos. Krishna and his pure devotees, like the Pandavas, are on the same plane. Krishna is not without his devotees of all the rasas, and the pure devotees like Pandavas are not without Krishna. The devotees and the Lord are interlinked. They cannot be separated. Therefore, talks about them are all Krishna Katha or topics of the Lord. Before we start discussing about the verse, I shall take the prayers of all the senior Vaishnavas present and Guru and all the Parampara. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Dhananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Vilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Gada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Rupa Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunatham Sajivam Chakra Nasaitam Shri Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Pesha Bhupika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostudi Dapta Kachana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vijabhanup Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutali Srimate Jai Pataka Swamiti Namine Namo Acharya Padayam Thakpa Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Let me just pull out. Hare Krishna. Parikshito tata rajase janma karma vilapanam samstam cha panduputranam vakshe Krishna katodayam. Sutta Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Saunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Krishna and topics of birth, activities and deliverance of King Parikshit, that sage among kings, as well as the topics of renunciation of the worldly order by Pandus. So we are in a very, very interesting section of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, okay. So far we have discussed Narada Muni, what he told Vyasadeva and what Vyasadeva did after Narada Muni left. Now, he's going to answer the second question. Recollect, just to jog our, rejig our memories. There were 3 questions asked: history of Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj activities, and third, how he was perceived in Hastinapur when Sukadeva Goswami, and how did the meeting happen with Parikshit. Now, so Sukadeva Goswami has answered the first question in these 11 verses, and of course, a few chapters before. And now the second question is going to begin, okay, with the background of Parikshit Maharaj first, okay. So, because since Kunti Maharani and Pandavas will be involved in the birth, I'm sorry, I have a throat issue. We'll be discussing Kunti Maharani's prayers also, how Pandavas went, and how Bhishma gave help, and how Pandavas retired. And, all this will be discussed in this section. The reason I'm saying this section is very important. You will realize why soon. And Krishna Katha is like that. There is no limit. You can keep going and come back to the topic. So 19th until the 19th chapter, all this will be covered. All stories, prayers will be there. So just a little background. Why was this? What was the question exactly? They were interested to know about Parikshit Maharaj. Why? Because he was a first-class devotee. We have already heard that his birth was very wonderful. He was a great emperor. Remember, he too had no enemies. Everybody came and would come and surrender to him. He had possessed so much opulence. He was exalted. Because of this, the Pandavas dynasty's prestige also, not that it was any less, but it had increased a lot. Why did he give up everything? Why did he sit down in the banks of Ganges? And he was at this prime of his youth. Okay. Normally, even in material world, we have seen very wealthy people give up everything. Okay, Bill Gates, so many other people had left everything. They don't leave any inheritance for their children. Intriguing it is, right? So they wanted to know about him, right? So now Sukadeva Goswami is going to tell the events leading to his birth. Okay, it's a very exciting, somehow I feel it's going to open up a lot of questions in devotees' mind. I hope all of you are attentive and grasp as much. And also this chapter is going to bring in the hero. Can anyone say who's the hero of the Bhagavatam?
Parikshit Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hero of the Bhagavatam. I agree now, but hero of Bhagavatam?
Krishna.
Yes,
Krishna.
no doubt about that. We should not have any doubt. So he's going to be introduced. The Supreme Lord is going to be introduced in this entire section. Okay. Of course, his loving exchanges with his devotees, all that will be there. But how Lord makes an entry, please don't miss that morning japa. The suspense is there, going to come in the next few verses. We all know he's the cause of all causes. He's the avatari. All others are avatars which are going to unfold from him. We also know how to approach him. Now, we recently learned oral reception is the most important. By rendering service, that is, we can achieve a perfection. But still, this entry is very special, please. So in today's sloka, Srila Prabhupada straight away writes here, saying, Krishna is so kind to the fallen souls that he personally incarnates himself amongst different kinds of living entities and takes part with them in the daily activities, right? Any historical fact, old or new, which connection with the activities is to be understood as transcendental, right? There is a warning also, okay, that with where is it? Yeah, people who directly go into the 10th canto, right? And thinking that, we are not, nothing about Krishna is not written here, we will directly read about. That is, it's more like a, Sahajiya, Prabhupada always used. If we want to go, directly to 10th canto, they immediately jump to Krishna Leela, directly to the gopis. No, you cannot understand. It's clearly written. Unless you understand, Prabhupada mentions the word and all the purports of the 9 cantos. Please know, thoroughly understood the purports. Such is the importance Prabhupada is giving to this. So we heard this many times from our senior lecturers, senior Vaishnavas also, right? But see, whether it is Krishna in the battlefield, Whether Krishna, wherever is Krishna, any topics related to that is transcendental. Otherwise, why Sukadev Goswami would explain so much about Uttara's pregnancy, how he was saved by Krishna, right? Krishna Katha means it refers both glories of the Lord and his devotees. Here it says, Samsthanam cha Panduputrana, right? Vakshay Krishna Kato Dayam, right? Panduputranam, that is all the Panduputras, the Pandavas, the sons of Pandu, they are all devotees. Srila Prabhupada specifically says about whether it was political affairs, whether it was anything to do with Krishna connection, it is Krishna Katha. Okay, so sometimes when you see devotees, right, whether devotees cooking, right, or chanting, reading, of course, all these are transcendent. But even when a devotee is going to, say, purchase something for the Lord, right, to his office, maybe a grihastha, if for the normal eyes, it looks as though he's performing like he's like any other person. But please note, we should know that he's going to the office or doing all this with an understanding that I have been given this intelligence, I need to work to maintain my family. He has to earn, right? But whether he gets respect by doing that activity, whether he gets salary, okay, or profits by doing the business, please note that the devotee's clear consciousness is that this belongs to Krishna. I am not the doer, right? I'm just going to take some required benefits from that, take shelter under the Supreme Lord and perform my activity, right? When we say direct shelter, now here you cannot take direct shelter of the Supreme Lord, right? How? See, again, devotee is important. Taking shelter of a pure devotee. Who is taken shelter of Krishna? Madashraya. If one takes shelter of a pure devotee, then he can reach his perfection much more easily. Now, Prabhupada uses this analogy. Just like electricity, the powerhouse is far away, right? Somewhere all your main sections of the powerhouses are there. From there, power is coming. Suppose one person's body is electrified, and if you go and touch that, what happens? Immediately he becomes electrified, right? If somebody touches me, if I'm touching that, then the other body also gets electrified. That is what this explanation Prabhupada gives. Similarly, if you touch, when I say touch, if you're in contact with a pure devotee and he is authorized by Krishna, this person also is electrified, right? So taking shelter of a devotee only then a devotee can get purified. Okay, that transformation will happen. There is in Bhagavad Gita, right, in very, very early sections, one of the most important verse, it can actually make someone become a devotee. That kind of a verse. Dehinosmin yata deha kaumaryam yavanam chara tata dehantara praptis dhirastratrana muhyate tata dehantara praptis tata, which means there is the change. Just like that, every minute there is a change in our body. We may not see it, but there is complete change. So by birth, a person could be a Chandala, right? And he or she may make very sincere efforts by realizing that, okay, I have got this human birth, rare birth, and I'm not going to waste. I'm going to take up to Bhakti Yoga. And if he gets initiated, then he completely is purified. Tata dehantara prapti. It's happened. It's fully purified. Now, it is because Krishna's Shakti, right? The way he surrendered through the right process. Is he taken the right process for everything, right? So we again take reference from what Krishna has told. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. It's not that I told you a couple of minutes back, right? We cannot go directly to Lord Krishna. So we understand this, we use this process, and then by using this process, coming under a devotee, following all the instructions given by a guru, then definitely if he gets initiated, he also gets, and of course, following all the rules, he gets his life purified. Okay. So now we understand that we cannot understand all this directly, right? We need, that is why we have the sages asking the questions to Sukadeva Goswami, right? Why? Because Sukadeva Goswami is Tattvadarshinaha. Okay, why do we rush to whenever Maharaj is in the temple, right? Whenever senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada come in, why do we rush and go there? Because what we probably hear in, some 30, 40, 50 classes in online, if just a few minutes sitting in front of them, their words will pierce our heart. The transformation will be magical, right? So it is very, very important to have this attending a pure devotees. I mean, rather taking darshan, hearing from a pure devotee. Why? Because they are tattva darshinas, right? We have to hear from them. And our leader also has mentioned it many times that please do not rush to the 10th canto. But however, the Vaishnavas are very merciful during Janmashtami, closer to that time, just to get into the mood of Krishna and Krishna's Balya Leelas, his activities. Sometimes they recommend us to go pick up a book, which is the shortened version of the 10th canto, a book called Krishna. So wonderful, short stories. We have also read this in the Zoom. So that is, again, if you see, it is under the direction of a devotee. So that way you can hear some stories and maybe share some stories, so that moment Krishna's stories, Krishna's kathas, Krishna's name, form, everything is described to the other devotees, they they develop this love and they also get attracted. Maybe that is why senior Vaishnavas allow us, right? And another point is that which I really understood his devotee and listen to this. Krishna and his pure devotees, like Pandavas, are on the same plane. Krishna is not without his devotees of all the rasas, and pure devotees like Pandavas are not without Krishna. The devotees of the Lord are interlinked and they cannot be separated. Therefore, talks about them are all in Krishna Karta and topics of Krishna. So anything which we discuss about Krishna or Krishna's devotees is, please, Prabhupada clearly specify that it is Krishna Katha. So let's not go by the word. Only anything related to Krishna is Krishna Katha. Very, very important line, this too, right? So these are the few points we could summarize. I'm somehow having a throat problem. So what is that most important section we kind of understood, and I also said that there are very striking points which is going to come out in this section for all of us to carry back. I also mentioned that there is a hero going to be introduced. Suspense that how he will make an entry. Please wait and hear from senior Vaishnavas. How Parikshit Maharaj was born and why did he give up everything, we'll know. Srila Prabhupada's warning we learned, said, please let's not jump to however tempting Krishna Katha is about reading about Krishna, because he says unless we all purify ourselves by understanding these his devotees, right? Understanding all the narration of Sukadeva Goswami, his glories of his devotees, then we cannot, then only we can approach that. And we also learned, very important, the moment Krishna is added, it becomes transcendental, right? Without that, it is just, Prabhupada uses it is just like simply stories and historical facts. If you do not add Krishna, it is not transcendental. How Krishna and his devotees, how all devotees are going to be glorified. I mean, we all know Prahlad Maharaj, Pandavas, everything, anything and related to them and related to Krishna is glorified here. Important not to approach directly Krishna, surrender to his devotee, right? So focus on devotee is very much there. How we can perfect our birth, even if it is low birth. Prabhupada keeps on saying that a Chandala can also become perfect, right? But we have to follow a process, follow the process given in Tadvidi Pranipatena, and the follow of taking all our Siksha levels. Thus, you get qualified, and then because of our surrendered mood, the devotee will recommend, and then the Guru accepts us And then from there, we can actually start our new birth and then perfect our life too. So thank you very much for being there today. Whatever I've written down is from lecture I heard from Srila Prabhupada and a few other points from other senior Vaishnavas. So please share if any other points are there, or if there is any questions, or if you want to correct me, I'm ready, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.